Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me. My name is Surabhi Malik and I'm the News Lab lead at Google in India. It's amazing to see all of you in person and such a pleasure to be back at Talk Journalism after 2 years of not having meeting, in persons, which is why I think the entire vibe of the event is so special to witness. Everybody coming together, talking so much about challenges that you're seeing over the last few years and beyond, and also what is it that we can do to come together. So I just thought I'll take up, this time that I've got in this session to give you a sneak peek into what Google News Initiative, that's my team at Google, has been doing and engaging with news publishers, with journalists, and with young media enthusiasts. Like all of you, like I see there's a good population of media students as well in this newsroom, in this event, and give you, a bit of idea about how you can engage with the activities that Google News Initiative brings across. I know your friends here are testing the slides. If we can have that up, and then I'll begin. Will someone need to help me run the slides quickly? Is it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I request everyone to come in front. Those sitting at the back, hi, can you listen to me? Please come in the front. Please come in the front. The chairs are waiting for you. Presence, come. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. I'm around.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for the team. I know it's been 2 years of not having in-person, events, which is why when we come back, we do see a bit of, technical glitches. But thanks so much to the team that was here and been kind enough to, get our slides up there. I just thought it was a good idea for you to, sort of see, also on the screen to have a bit of visual, aid on what are some of the programs that Google News Initiative does with journalists, with news publishers, so you can, after this session, go back and see how you would like to engage with some of the programs and products, that we have at Google. Coming again, I know some of you have joined just, this session right away. My name is Surabhi Malik, and I'm the News Lab lead at Google in India. My team, at Google is part of the larger Google News Initiative effort within the Google, where we primarily work with news publishers and journalists to aid them in their digital transformation journey. I've personally been a journalist for about 10 years before I moved to the media space, media training and technology space, supporting journalists and media organizations. So having spent some time in the newsroom to know what challenges are, and now having the opportunity to work with more journalists and newsrooms to tackle some of those challenges. And I'll talk about some more of the stuff that we do in the slides here. I'll begin by talking a bit about, what the News Initiative is. And like I said, my team is part of the larger Google News Initiative, effort. So we work with publishers and journalists to build a more sustainable, diverse, and innovative news ecosystem. Having been part of a newsroom for about 10 years, I know that digital transformation doesn't come very easy to a lot of us, and which is why we try and bring through experts programs, like convenings like this, where journalists and newsrooms can learn from each other and learn from experts to aid their digital transformation journey. And the reason, why we do this is because, arranging and organizing information that's available on the web is so critical to an organization like Google, where search is one of our, core offerings, and which is why we think it's aligned to our mission as an organization to be able to support newsrooms and journalists in their digital transformation, journey. Which is why you'll see news has been part of Google's core, pillars right from 2002. In fact, just last month we celebrated 20 years of Google News. That was the first time when Google actually announced Google News and came up with a whole, slew of more announcements around this, which you can, read up. This is broadly, what my team at News Initiative has been doing about, in 120 countries. So me and my team are present in about 120 countries where we work with, again, newsrooms and journalists on a whole host of programs, and I'll try to give you a sneak peek of it in this session today, in supporting about 7,000, partners. A key part of, what the News Initiative does, is engage with journalists and newsrooms through programs and build resources which can help them, which is why you see the big number, on the screen, at the bottom, right-hand corner, which is about 3.4 million journalists online have engaged and media students have engaged in programs, that we support, out of which about 500,000 are, journalists who've been trained in face-to-face interactions. Of course, a lot of it over the last few years, 2 years has been online, but I'm glad that through forums like this, we're now coming back, and talking about it in person. So a key part of what the News Lab, and my team does is focused on 3 key pillars. The key one amongst that is advancing the quality of, journalism through trainings and programs and resources that we build. And broadly, our efforts are focused around all of these areas when it comes to supporting journalists, to elevate the quality of journalism, that Google surfaces, which is helping journalists develop digital skills. Training, again, forms a key part of, what we do. And also focusing on combating misinformation. I was very pleased to see in the panel just before this, there was a lot of talk about, and even the panel before that, about misinformation and how fake news actually disrupts the narrative, or the right narrative, which needs to, go down to an audience like you or to voters. And we've been working, with the newsrooms and the industry across different parts of, the country, even in India, over the last so many years to support journalists in this, in tackling this big problem. And I'll talk more about, that later. Also, have efforts around sustaining, reporting, original reporting, and advancing technology in the newsrooms through various programs that I'll talk, to you about. In India, training has been a key part of what the Google News Initiative has been doing over the last so many years. In fact, we first launched our training program in India in 2015, and since then about 45,000 plus journalists and journalism students have had the opportunity to participate in these programs and learn through various experts who we bring together through convenings like this to tackle important challenges, just like some of the ones that I shared with you earlier. The program has in India held about 1,000 plus workshops, and the good part is these trainings happen in local languages. So not all our trainings will always be in English, and I'm pleased to see again at this event here there are sessions in Hindi as well. Our trainings do happen in about 10 plus languages across the country in so many different cities. I'm also pleased to see some people I've met at trainings or events before through Google News Initiative programs that we've been running, and I hope to see many more of you in the ones that will come up in the future. A lot of topics that Gina has been supporting with training programs and resource creating revolve around digital fundamentals. What is it as a journalist now looking at the digital, I mean, I know there's been talk about, okay, print journalists, and what is TV journalism, but can we now in today's day and age actually differentiate that, from digital journalism? Probably not. So what is it that you can, equip yourself with to actually fathom how media landscape is moving, online? That's been key part of what, Gina and my team, look at in our work in collaboration with, newsrooms. Election, of course, has been a recurring, theme, like the last panel, was discussing. We do have so many elections every year, and, around elections, we do come up with, programs like how to tackle election misinformation. What is it that, journalists or young students can learn about how to cover elections better in the day and age of, digital, journalism. These are just some of the, newsrooms that have participated in some of our, trainings. Of course, the list is, long, but there's also a lot of learning that we take back. So at Google, we care to listen to, all of what you guys have to say, which is why, I'm going to be around for a little while after this session as well. So if you have any thoughts to discuss around, anything that you've seen on, the slides, I'm trying to give you a sneak peek of all that GNI has to offer to this audience, but feel free to, catch me there, and I'm happy to take the conversation forward here and even after. Also beyond, say, programs like Talk Journalism, that we've been, we've had the opportunity to, support, and other, events which bring together people from the media ecosystem, there's also a good resource, online, which you guys as journalists or journalism students can access, which rests on this short URL that you're seeing there, which has sort of self-paced modules with journalists and, journalism students who hope to, catch up new skills around digital can access and learn more about, what we've got to offer, revolving around, multimedia storytelling or digital safety. How can you keep your online interaction safe as you're a journalist or a budding journalist in a newsroom, in a media college? How do you keep your, sources safe? I mean, there's been a discussion around that as well. So those are sort of self-paced things which you can find, on this session. This is again, sort of a list of some or a snapshot of only some tools that you will see or some sections on the website. Right from tools like Fact Check Explorer. Raise your hand if you've heard about Fact Check Explorer. Anybody in the room? Okay, a few of them. So I would encourage you to go back and check what a Google Fact Check Explorer is. There is this talk about, how you can actually fathom what's true or not, especially in online or on closed, messaging, apps. You can definitely take a look at, this is almost like a search engine for all of the fact checks, which a lot of, good organizations have been driving. So all of this is hosted, on this tool, and you can see. Flourish and Pinpoint, in fact, has been a tool. So GNI works with a lot of experts globally and within the country at local level to build tools and programs and online resources to support, like I said, this journey of digital transformation, for newsrooms, and their audiences. So Pinpoint is, such a tool which helps you scan through thousands of documents, just at one go, and probably very useful when it comes to investigative journalism, or data journalism, or stories, while you're trying to scan through tons and tons of, papers. So that's something, that I would encourage you to look at as well. Like I said, combating misinformation or helping newsrooms and journalists tackle the problem of misinformation has been core to what NewsLab has been doing or Google News Initiative has been doing in India, ever since 2018, which is why, we launched this program called GNI India Training Network in 2018, and, we led to, a lot of newsrooms getting trained on simple tools and techniques which you can use how to tackle, misinformation. And I'm very happy to see a lot of, people who participated in that program are now going ahead and leading such fact-checking initiatives or media literacy, effort. The last panel, here was, discussing something very interesting, which was, does the audience really know how to fathom this, sea load of information that's out there? Can they differentiate between why journalism matters and why any random information on the web is not credible or authoritative enough for them to learn about, say, things like elections, or any other topic? So these, programs actually touch upon, that and help you explain that, better to your, audience. In fact, just this year, we launched another program called Fact Check Academy, which focuses on, how to tackle the problem of climate misinformation or data-centric, misinformation or verified data. And we're approaching, of course, a big election year in 2024, and we know, again, data or numbers are going to be misused, so we support, building capacity of newsrooms and journalists to help them fathom, how they can navigate this, space better. Also, Factual Media Literacy Program is another initiative that we've supported. It's launched by, of course, partners, but, Google's been supporting this program, which helps, again, initiatives where journalists and media educators come together to explain to their audiences, what is it that they can do to fathom, facts from all of the fake, that's circulating, online, which again, taking off, from the panel, is so critical to develop this critical thinking skills amongst the audience, to create that, trust, to say, hey, here's why journalism, which probably takes so much, longer, and, there are journalists who are working so hard to produce that story, which is not equivalent to, what someone else just, shares with you, a couple lines, though it almost looks similar with a headline, with some text along, but it is not. So that's a good effort, that we've been supporting on media literacy. Also around, COVID time, around VaxCheck Town Hall series. There was also very interesting vaccine counter misinformation fund. So GNI does come up with opportunities where you can experiment with your big ideas, and bring them to fruition, through the support of, some programs like the Vaccine Counter Misinformation Fund. Or you may have heard from the team at Ekta Coalition, in this session. I think they did have a session yesterday on how we are supporting this effort, which trains students, young students like you, to become, those mascots of media literacy and, fact-checking within your own communities. And then these are, again, just some numbers, and, what the program has actually, led to. And also, we are very thankful to the partners, the logos that you're seeing on the bottom of the screen. These are people who've supported this program or programs that Google News Initiative has been running. Essentially, we do not say we're the experts in all of this, but we do intend to bring together experts on forums like this and other programs where they can learn from each other and come together to build a strategy around tackling any important challenge that they come across. Our latest program in 2022, which is around climate misinformation and data fact-checking, we are happy to get the support of Science Journalists Association of India for that as well, since that's being seen as another upcoming challenge, which you guys will start listening from many experts now. So this program, like I said, did lead to many newsrooms and journalists, then launching some dedicated, fact-checking initiatives, and also, in general, so many of our program participants are leading the front on tackling the problem of misinformation, on the whole, which we, kind of take, pride in. But this is an ongoing journey, and we totally need your support. The road is, long enough, but why don't we quickly look at what that program has achieved, so far? If we are able to play the video. I know we've faced some, bit of technical glitch, but if my friend here can, alert me. If not, we'll just move ahead. We just thought, I know I'm giving you, some numbers broadly and, what the program has achieved so far, but just to give you more context around what, the program has been doing, this one in particular, just run a quick video here if that's possible.
India has a very vibrant media space. We're talking about more than 100,000 newspapers, more than 500 TV channels, and hundreds of new digital media startups in more than 10 languages. In next 5-6 years, you will see almost everyone in India on internet. And that's amazing, 1 billion people on internet. But then the challenge is, whatever is there on internet is not all true. Anybody can fall for that misinformation, and it could be extremely dangerous. So how do you protect your society?
In 2018, we at Data Leads, in support with Google and our other partners, started this program called Google News Initiative India Training Network. We actually chose 250 truth warriors, journalists and media educators, and they were trained on skills required to fact-check any kind of misinformation.
These trainers went back to newsrooms, to their own states, to their own villages, to their own towns, and they started training more people. It really empowered so many newsrooms in so many regions with simple tools and techniques and approaches to address and debunk misinformation. There was another initiative which was supported with the help of Google called Factual, which was an information and media literacy initiative. We ended up training the gardeners, the shopkeepers, the lawyers, the doctors, the communities.
By Google News Initiative India Training Network, we covered our journalists who were actually publishing news. By the Factual program, we covered the people who were consuming this news.
Because we realized that fighting misinformation is not the just job of journalists. It needs a whole society approach. As
we speak, it's been almost 3 years that we've been running this program. We've trained over 35,000 people across India in over 10 different languages. We've reached out to 1,300 plus newsrooms and over 700 plus universities.
Today, there are millions of readers who are reading the stories of fact checkers, and most of these fact checkers benefited from this initiative.
I think it's very important that we scale it up. every Indian should have the critical thinking skills required to understand and decipher what is correct, what is not correct.
Thank you so much for watching, this video. I hope it gave you sort of a glimpse into what we've been doing, on this one aspect, of the work that we, look at. But I also wanted you to, can we move the slide? So yeah, like our partners here in this video were sharing, there certainly is, lots more to do, and we've been working with, partners and newsrooms and journalists. So, if you have thoughts around how, and what is it that you would like to contribute to this, initiative or the problem of misinformation, please again find me, and I'll be very happy to lend a ear and look at what we can, do more together. So apart from that initiative, of course, there are other programs that we've, supported, one of which, like I was mentioning, was for budding journalists like you, in this newsroom, which was supporting the Ekta Coalition run a media literacy fellowship program where young students like you had the opportunity to work with fact checkers and learn more about, fact checking skills and be the mascots of media literacy, and that, thread which could, spread this message to your own, communities. Also around, the trending topics on, what was trending around misinformation at the time of the COVID pandemic being at its peak. Another very interesting, program that I'm very proud that we had, the chance to, support was this program from the Vaccine Counter Misinformation Fund, where the Quint, in support with Khabar Lahariya, had a chance to work on this, program which supported rural communities in learning more about, what misinformation is. This was specifically around, COVID, time, or when COVID was at its peak, to be able to equip that audience to know, hey, is any message coming your way the right message to learn about, what you wanted to know about the pandemic or, COVID, or were there, are there other means to reach trusted, sources and authoritative information? You did hear about Factual India Media Literacy Network, as well, which is a program which was launched by Internews and Data Leads, which are two of our partners, which we've been, supporting. And some of the pictures that you saw in some rural areas, of how a community of 250 journalists, media educators, and non-profit, leads came together to envision this program where they wanted to take, all of this learning about media literacy and critical thinking to their audiences. And we are happy that even 60 community radio stations supported us in this program where they ran media literacy and critical thinking programs, through jingles and rap songs. I wish, I had one of those, with me here to play, but I, unfortunately do not. But I would encourage you to, again, go and look at, some of the work that these partners have been, leading, and we are very happy to support, such initiatives. Well, key part of what me and my team does, caters to editorial, so digital skills around the editorial work, but there are also teams within the organization which work on another, key, area, which is sustaining essential reporting. During COVID, again, we know it was, a trouble, it was a hard time for a lot of organizations, especially smaller local organizations, which had a tough time, navigating that. So we did announce the GNI Journalism Emergency Relief Fund, which supported small organizations across the globe, and there were about 200 plus organizations in India, which did benefit from that as well. In fact, just last month, we also announced the the News Equity Fund, which is the GNI's effort to support news publishers and organizations that are particularly supporting underrepresented, communities. In fact, the application window for this just closed, but we will be announcing, the recipients sometime soon. Another key area, of how we support, quality journalism is through advancing technology in newsrooms through various programs, like the ones that you're seeing on your screen. With the Columbia Journalism School, we worked on a GNI newsroom leadership program, which supported, newsroom managers with the 6-month, fellowship. The program is still, on, and I would love for us probably the next year when we come together on Talk Journalism to hear from some of them, how that worked, because this program really equipped them to use data, focus on data-centric insights to take, editorial decisions to be able to, run a sustainable newsroom. So, the entire focus of this program has been on using applied technology and audience-centric behaviors and design thinking to actually look towards a sustainable newsroom operations. Another, there is a lot of interest about AI and, journalism. So we realized, why can't we actually do, our aim has always been to bring journalists and newsrooms closer to, technology. So with, in consultation with the journalism, the London School of Economics, the Policy think tank, Google News Initiative supported a journalism AI academy for small and mid-sized newsrooms, where small and mid-sized newsrooms across the region could participate and learn more about what is it that they can do better with the use of AI technology, not just, if you're a newsroom of big scale, where you can, have experts there, but in general, can you come together with existing resources and lessen some of the work, that takes away your attention from the core, things that you would like to focus on. So, that's just a sneak peek into some of the initiatives that help, advancing technology in newsrooms. I talked to you about this Journalist Studio and Pinpoint tool. There is a short URL, here, but it actually helps you scan through thousands of documents, even, the scans and not, just PDFs. The other programs which you can, as journalist newsrooms, whether it's a, national publisher or a local publisher, participate in, to strengthen and evolve, business models wherein we focus on running, bringing again experts who can help you understand your audience better and increase your, reach. And there are programs which focus on growing reader revenue, advertising revenue, and new business, models. DGP, I know I may be talking about a bit more, acronyms here, but if this is again digital growth program that supports newsrooms, learn more about their audience, and again use data and insights to take informed, decisions. There is a whole lot of, sources on this available on the website as well, so I encourage you to talk. Take a look there as well. If you're keen to focus on things like audience development, reader revenue, advertising revenue, product thinking, I mean, we're a technology company. We really do think there is merit in focusing on user needs and keeping user, central to whatever you're doing. So, which is why, this and also data. And there are various ways of how we do this. I mean, even for this pillar of our, work, which is playbooks and exercises, which means we support creation of online resources, which any newsroom or journalist, can access at his own, will, at his own ease and convenience. So there is, a lot of creation around playbooks of, for example, what is it that you would like to do if you want to focus on, reader engagement and improving that, but also workshops and labs, where you can come together with a lot of other newsrooms from your country or outside and learn from their experiences. So, a key part of what we've been, focusing on is saying, hey, we run these programs, but then can the participants also share it within the news committee so they all also get to, learn from, each other. So you may have, some of you may have heard about, again, some more, labs. So there is the News Lab, but there are also the Google News Initiative Startups Labs, which is for smaller, so digital native newsrooms, which, wanted to learn more about, again, all of these data-centric insights that I talked about, but also Data Lab and Subscription Lab, where some of the newsrooms that you're seeing on the screen have participated in and have benefited from. And I really hope we'll have an opportunity to hear from them as well on how they benefited from this. There is, some amount of case studies from these, publishers available on the website if you think you would like to, take a look. So, find them there as well. This is Bloomberg Quint. They participated in the GNI Subscription Lab, and I would like you to hear, from them on what their experience was. If we can, play the video again here.
Indian news space has seen significant transformation in the last decade. We have gone from the era of newspapers to television to digital news, and the pace of change has accelerated in the last couple of years because people have gotten so used to consuming their news on their mobiles. Bloomberg Quint exists within the larger English news ecosystem in India and caters to business and financial news. One of the key challenges has been to capture a larger part of this niche market. We cannot be the number 2 choice for someone, we have to be the number 1 choice.
Today in India, there are about 500 million consumers who are accessing news online. The consumer is spoiled for choice, and the pressure is back on the publishers to make themselves more relevant with compelling content.
When we started our subscription journey, we had an early mover advantage, but that also meant that we were experimenting, failing, and then learning. When the opportunity came for us to be part of the Google News Initiative Subscription Lab, we embraced it because that would give us the opportunity to learn from global best practices as well as understand the journey that our peers in the region were going through.
Hearing from other news publishers, we had very similar problems. Like people don't want to keep articles behind hard paywall. There's always an apprehension to keep your premium stories behind hard paywalls, which can lead to loss of traffic, that can lead to loss of ad revenues.
We implemented the key learnings from the subscription lab by first reducing the paywall. We increased the number of subscriber-only content and we reduced significantly the number of stories that were free for all users. The second part that we did was to focus on communicating subscription benefits more explicitly and listen to what our audiences wanted and try and increase the kind of content that they want.
One of the most important key insights about this subscription lab was reducing the friction between your payment and sign-up flow. We changed our subscription page completely. We were showing a lot of core value propositions on the subscription page. Whenever a user subscribes, we are sending them a personalized email thanking them for supporting our journalism.
Our new paywall strategy was much more aggressive, which meant that we had a much stricter paywall. Some of the editors, some of the people in the newsroom were worried about the impact that it would have on readership. The challenge that we faced was to communicate the benefits of larger number of subscriptions as opposed to just getting more people to read news on different platforms.
I think life is turning a full cycle. We've always paid for news content, whether it was through newspaper subscription, through magazine subscription, or even through cable TV subscription.
Buying a subscription makes a reader a stakeholder in the news generation. He or she has a say in the quality of the journalism that's provided and feels like they have a right to ask more of their journalists. In this era of rampant misinformation, when people know that they're paying for news, they expect that higher quality of journalistic output, and that puts an onus on news publishers like us to step up and deliver higher quality content to our readers.
Well, yeah, this was, one sneak peek into one of the programs, participants talking about what their experience had been, in this particular program. You can hear from more of your industry, colleagues and peers talking about, again, what they've learned, on the resources that we have, on the website. So feel free to take a look. For anyone interested in knowing more about what Google, has in terms of the data tools that we have built in consultation with global experts, you could go, here and look at the news tagging guide, the news consumer insights, and also the real-time content, insights, which help you optimize your reader engagement, funnel, and also look at, take decisions around, content in real time. There are also other programs that I did mention briefly, but just so you know that there are programs that you can currently participate in as well. GNI Innovation Challenge, which is a regional program, is currently on and is inviting applications. So for any newsroom who wishes to experiment with an innovative idea that they haven't been able to, we would love to hear from you. So do take do make use of this opportunity to apply for the GNI Innovation Challenge. There have been previous program winners who you may find in this. I know the News Minute was here, probably not Khabar Lahariya, but they have shared what they did through the support of this program. Often, like I said, digital transformation is not an easy journey, and it's hard because it's coming at a very fast pace. But hopefully, through programs like this and through what we've put up here, you can learn from that experience, and we hope to bring you again instances and forums like this where you can connect with experts, learn more about this. The News Minute did work on a membership model, for example, with the GNI Innovation Challenge, and have shared their learnings here. Similarly, Khabar Lahariya, again worked on bringing, putting together a network of members and figured out who their audience was, and tested that with the GNI Innovation Challenge. So building a collaborative goal news community has been the core of a lot of programs that we do. Like I said, we may not be the experts at despite being a technology company, not have all solutions to every problem, but we try and deliberately, bring in experts who can support in creating a thriving and representative, media, or building partnerships with news industry and associations, and connecting the global news community so they can come together to discuss, the challenges and come, together to collaborate on some of these, challenges. So yeah, I have given you a sneak peek. I hope you, are able to take away a few things from this to say, hey, this is what I need for my newsroom or for the community that I serve. Please feel free to find me, around after this session, or I'll share my, contact details even, later. If you, would like to connect, know more about our programs, I'm happy to share some resources, as well. Also, we do have, our social presence there. So if you want to learn more about what are the upcoming programs that Google News Initiative is, bringing in India or outside of it, you can follow us on, social, but also, our newsletter, which is, also a good way to learn more about what GNI programs are. If you feel like keeping a snapshot of, some of these links, please feel free to, but most of it is hosted on the GNI website as well. And I think that's about it from me. That's my email, and that's the website where you will find information about most of the things that I have talked about in this, session. Thank you so much.